started. So anyway, about me. So I've been making games for about 10 years, and then I got out into the games industry and did some other things and built some robots and some interactive artworks. And now I'm back to making games again, and we're making a WiiWare title, Flowerworks, which is basically me and my business partner. It's a little casual game that we made ourselves, and it's going to be out on WiiWare soon. And but this is about Agile, not about me. And anyway, how I got introduced to it was I was in Finland for a couple of years, and we were working under the Scrum system, and I just loved it, and I just felt like every day I was just making a better engineer, and I was writing better code, and the more we got into it, the further we went down the path, the more rewards we started getting from it. We were doing really nice work from it. So alright, so I don't know a lot of you guys, so who here is a programmer? Who else is an artist here? So, what does everyone else do? Did you put a hand up? Sorry?
Student.
Student. Alright, so up and coming artist or programmer?
Artist.
Okay. Alright. So has anyone here worked under any sort of Agile system like Scrum? More or less. And what did you think of it? Did you have problems? Did you like it?
It's awesome.
Awesome.
I'm currently working at a very half-hearted Scrum. It's kind of a little bit of Scrum, a little bit of much more traditional stuff.
Yeah, okay.
It tends to conflict with our milestones, I found.
Oh, okay. So the milestones dig into the Scrum cycle.
Yeah, because the milestones are fixed, but the Agile's, well, Agile, so they tend to have a bit of a, a complication between them. But you kind of just have to take the best from both worlds, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can get into all that because that's a problem that tends to pop up with everyone, especially in the games industry. But I have to say, I've never used Scrum inside the games industry. I've used it for other projects, and so I guess what the reason why Scrum was produced is that basically software development doesn't work. Like studies have shown that between 50 to 80% of all IT projects fail, and so basically whatever we're doing isn't working traditionally, and and I think a lot of it comes from the perception that when you're producing something, it's like a factory production line, and so certain sorts of products, if you're putting in raw materials at one end, in exactly 45 minutes later, there's going to be like a pencil sharpener at the other end or something, and you know that in a certain amount of time with a certain number of people, you can make a certain number of parts. It's just simple maths, and but then there are different industries like R&D industries, like pharmaceutical industries, like you wouldn't get anybody going to a team and saying, okay, I want you to come back in a day and tell me, we want to cure for cancer, how much is it going to cost, how many people do you need, and how long is it going to take? It just doesn't work that way, so you just have to basically sort of put it out there and hope for a return. And software development is more like that because it's highly unknown and systems are unproven and you're doing R&D on every project basically. So that requires a different attitude, and so a lot of Scrum comes from these R&D industries like pharmaceutical industries and things, and the planning and the budgeting, and the founders of Scrum, they're basically, they'll come from a background where everything we say is supported by studies. So there are lots of studies out there in project management in IT and what makes projects fail, what makes them succeed, and basically it all comes down to managing risk. So it's an unpredictable world, and people tend to be too optimistic when it comes to planning projects. And like all through history, like there's ancient Greek scripts that have basically said, why is it that people will jump in and take these huge risks, and people seem to be blind to the risk of failure, but they overemphasize the rewards. And all through history, people have commented on this, and it still goes on. And so people want to avoid risk, but they tend to do it by not in a very scientific way. They'll go to people who tell them it's all going to be all right, like analysts, fortune tellers, whoever, and they'll like to draw like nice charts, and it's like a cargo cult science where if you draw a nice chart that's all really orderly, then reality is going to follow that and be all nice and orderly and follow the way you plan it. And the real world doesn't really work like that. And like things change all the time. Like if you're making a game, like I don't know if you've got any examples where you're going with one idea and then right at the end the publisher jumps in and says, oh, but hang on, we can't have this in the game because of blah. It's like, yeah, they can change everything. And it's just totally unpredictable. So you need to just have some amount of flexibility to change. And so traditionally people would use this waterfall method. I don't know if anyone's heard of the term. It seems like most people do. But it's basically where you do all your planning. It's divided into set phases where you do your planning, and then when you finish your planning, you do the implementation, and then you do the testing, and then you test the customer. And when in reality it tends to keep getting bounced back steps, and so you get this iterative development, which is basically a big loop. So you keep like getting to a final product, and it gets bounced back, and then you have to go and replan things in some cases. So it's cutting rows. This difficult. And so I might just skip ahead to what Agile actually is, because this is supposed to be a workshop, and I've actually got some paper there. We'll do some paper UIs and have a mess around with that and actually have participation. But so when it comes to Scrum, like what does it mean to people? Like how will you typically do it in the company where you use it? If you know, like if the actual full set, like Scrum has all these set things that you have to do, like how many of them are you actually doing?
You have the release planning first year.
Yeah.
That's the process.
Yeah.
You know how, when you want to do sprints, you do any visual links.
Yeah.
Multiple cycle.
Yes.
Estimate it.
So you have the milestones, and then from the milestones you pull out the sprints.
Yeah, I do traditional Scrum.
Yeah.
It's, I don't think any system works at once. So
yeah.
You take that.
Especially the other games industry, I think just becoming complex. People need to break it, because I haven't heard of one system where people just do it out of the book. Like it always needs some sort of change. And the real devotees, like they'll say, I guess it's people who believe in real communism. They say, oh, you can't judge it by what's actually out there, because there's never been a real communism. Well, I've never seen a real Scrum system working. Like there's always been, well, in my experience anyway, there's always been some way that it's been changed to deal with a particular circumstance. But yeah, so who doesn't know what Scrum is here? Who's got no idea what I'm talking about? All right, okay, backtrack a bit. But basically, what it is, it's a process, and where basically it's all about making money, number one. So basically, if you're a business, you've got to deal with customers, and it's all based on giving customers what they want on time and on budget. And customers typically, like to deliver them what they want, you need this feedback, which you get with publishers. So you submit the milestones, and then they'll give you back feedback on what needs to be changed. And with Scrum, you're basically having daily contact with a representative from the customer, and so it's always on track with what they want. And also, at any particular time, there might be a business need. Like say if you've